The champagne bottle hit the marble floor, so hard it didn't just break, it exploded. Glass shards glittered under the chandelier like 1,000 tiny stars, and for 3 full seconds, nobody at my father's retirement gala moved. Not the investors in their tailored suits, not the board members mid-toast, not even the string quartet in the corner. My brother Adrian stood frozen at the microphone, his prepared speech still glowing on the teleprompter, his face the color of ash. And my business partner Cade, calm, unshakable Cade, stood in the center of the ballroom floor holding a single manila folder and said 6 words that made my father's empire start crumbling in real time. Victor Chin never wrote that algorithm, but none of them knew that I'd been planning this moment for 847 days, or that the person they'd underestimated for 29 years had just become the most dangerous person in the room. If you've ever been told you're not smart enough, not driven enough, not enough, while watching someone else wear your crown, stay with me. This one ends with the kind of reckoning that changes family trees. Like this video if you're ready for what comes next. Subscribe and hit the bell. You're going to want to see how this unfolds. My name is Mira Chin. I'm the oldest child of Victor and Diane Chin, founders of Helix Dynamics, a semiconductor company that went from a Bay Area garage to a NASDAQ darling in 12 years. I'm also the child nobody talks about in investor meetings. The earliest memory I have isn't a birthday party or a vacation. It's standing in the hallway outside my father's home office at age 7, holding a spelling bee trophy, waiting for him to finish a call so I could show him. The call lasted 43 minutes. When he finally opened the door, he glanced at the trophy, patted my head once, and said, "That's nice, Mira. Where's your brother?" Adrian was 5. He was in the living room building a Lego spaceship. My father spent the next hour on the floor with him, explaining propulsion and gravity, his voice animated in a way I'd never heard directed at me. I put the trophy on a shelf in my room. It stayed there for 11 years, gathering dust, until I packed for college and left it behind. School became a pattern I learned to navigate like a maze I couldn't escape. Adrian got tutors for every subject: math, science, Mandarin, piano. Private coaches who came to the house in the evenings and stayed late, filling yellow legal pads with progress notes my parents read over breakfast. I got the local library card and a bus pass. When I brought home straight A's in 8th grade, Diane glanced at my report card and said, "Good. Now help me with dinner." When Adrian brought home a B+ in geometry, Victor hired a Stanford grad student to tutor him 3 times a week at $80 an hour. I wasn't stupid. I understood the logic, even if I hated it. Adrian was the heir, the son, the one who'd inherit Helix Dynamics and carry the family name forward into boardrooms and legacy. I was the daughter, the spare, the one expected to marry well and pose for holiday cards. Nobody said it out loud, but the house had a language all its own. High school was worse. Adrian got the new MacBook Pro every year, the car at 16, the college counselor who cost $15,000 and specialized in Ivy League placements. I got a beat-up Dell hand-me-down from my father's office and a reminder that state schools were perfectly respectable. When I won the regional science fair sophomore year, a project on neural network optimization that took me 6 months to build in the garage, my parents didn't come to the awards ceremony. Adrian had a basketball game the same night. They went to that. I stood on the stage holding a plaque and a $2,000 scholarship check, scanning the audience for faces I knew wouldn't be there, and felt something inside me go cold and quiet. The next day, Victor asked if I'd won. I said yes. He said, "Good," and went back to his emails. The plaque went into the same closet as the spelling bee trophy. Junior year, I applied to MIT, Stanford, and Carnegie Mellon. I wrote the essays in secret, submitted the applications with fee waivers, and told no one. When the acceptance letters came, all 3, full rides, research stipends included, I left them on the kitchen counter like grenades. Diane found them first. She called me downstairs, the letters fanned out on the granite like playing cards. "These are very impressive," she said carefully. "But we need to be realistic, Mira. Your father and I have been discussing your future. Adrian will need support when he takes over the company. It would be better if you stayed local. Maybe UC Berkeley. Something close." I stared at her. "Adrian's taking over a company I helped build?" Her expression didn't change. "You were 7 when we started Helix. You helped us move boxes. I've been coding since I was 12. I built half the prototypes in the garage before Adrian even understood what a motherboard was. And we're very proud of you, she said, voice smooth as oil. But the company needs stability. Vision. Your brother has that. I wanted to scream. I wanted to flip the table. I wanted to ask when exactly they decided my brain was worth less than his because of chromosomes. Instead, I picked up the MIT letter, folded it into my pocket, and walked out of the house. I didn't go back for 3 days. When I finally did, the acceptance letters were gone. Diane had called the schools and respectfully declined on my behalf. We made the deposit at Berkeley, she said when I asked. You start in the fall. I turned 18 that summer. My birthday fell on a Tuesday. I spent it working the morning shift at a coffee shop near campus, saving money I didn't tell anyone about. At home that evening, there was no cake, no candles, no card. Adrian's birthday 3 months later was a catered backyard party with 50 people, a DJ, and a brand new Tesla in the driveway wrapped in a silver bow. He was 16. I stopped expecting anything after that. College became my escape. Berkeley's engineering program was brutal, competitive, and exactly what I needed. I buried myself in coursework, research labs, late-night study groups where nobody knew my last name or cared. I paid for everything myself. Tuition through scholarships, rent through 3 part-time jobs, food through careful budgeting, and a lot of instant ramen. Victor and Diane never offered help. Adrian, meanwhile, got into Stanford with mediocre SAT scores and a suspiciously glowing recommendation letter from one of Helix's board members. Victor threw a dinner party to celebrate. I wasn't invited. Sophomore year, I met Kato Koye in an algorithms class. He was brilliant, sharp-tongued, and the only person in the room who coded faster than I did. We became study partners, then friends, then the kind of partnership where you finish each other's technical sentences. Junior year, we started building something in his apartment after midnight, an AI model that could optimize semiconductor chip design in real time, cutting production costs by 40%. We called it ArcLight. It wasn't just good. It was revolutionary. By senior year, we had a working prototype and a pitch deck. We entered it in a national tech competition and won first place. $100,000 in seed funding. Meetings with venture capitalists. Press coverage in TechCrunch and Wired. I called my father the day we won. We did it, I said, breathless. Kate and I built something incredible. The judges said it could change the entire industry. There was a long pause. That's wonderful, Mira, Victor said. Send me the details. I'd love to take a look. He sounded warm. Proud, even. For the first time in years, I let myself hope. Graduation came and went. Kate and I rented a tiny office in Oakland, barely 400 square feet, and officially launched ArcLight Systems in August 2019. We had $100,000 in seed funding, 2 laptops, and a whiteboard covered in flowcharts. The first 6 months were chaos. We worked 16-hour days, lived on energy drinks and takeout, and pitched to every investor who'd take a meeting. Most of them passed. Too risky, they said. Too niche. Come back when you have traction. We didn't have time to wait. Kate handled business development. I ran engineering. We split equity 50-50, signed the LLC papers in a FedEx office at 11 p.m., and shook hands over cheap beer. By December, we landed our first client, a mid-sized manufacturer in San Jose who paid $50,000 for a custom chip design. We delivered in 3 weeks. They ordered 2 more. 2020 hit, and the world locked down. While other startups hemorrhaged cash, we pivoted. Semiconductor demand exploded as everyone needed laptops, servers, and home tech. Our AI model was faster and cheaper than traditional design processes. Revenue hit $500,000 by summer. By the end of 2020, we crossed $2 million. We hired our first employees, 3 engineers, and a project manager. Kate's girlfriend at the time handled our books. We moved into a real office in Soma with actual desks and a coffee machine that didn't taste like burnt plastic. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was building something that was mine. Not my father's. Not my family's. Mine. 2021, we hit $8 million in revenue. Investors who'd ghosted us the year before suddenly returned calls. We closed a Series A round in March, $12 million at a $50 million valuation. TechCrunch did a feature. Forbes included us in their 30 under 30 list. Kate and I stood on stage at a conference in Austin, and when I looked out at the audience of 2,000 people, I realized none of them knew I was Victor Chen's daughter. They just knew I'd built something worth paying attention to. I didn't tell my parents about any of it. They never asked. Then, in October 2021, my phone rang. Victor. Mira, he said, voice bright and warm in a way that set off alarm bells immediately. I've been reading about ArcLight. Very impressive. I think it's time we had a conversation. About what? About family. About legacy. About bringing you home. My stomach dropped. Home. Helix could use someone with your expertise. Adrian's doing well, but he could benefit from your technical eye. And frankly, Mira, you've proven yourself. I was wrong not to see that sooner. It was the closest thing to an apology I'd ever heard from him. I should have hung up. Instead, I said, I'll think about it. The meeting happened 2 weeks later at Helix headquarters in Palo Alto. The building was all glass and steel, modern and cold, with the company logo etched into the lobby floor in polished chrome. I walked in wearing a blazer I'd bought the day before, carrying a portfolio I'd stayed up all night preparing. Victor greeted me in the executive conference room. Adrian sat at his right hand, smiling like we were old friends. Diane wasn't there. Let's talk integration, Victor said, skipping pleasantries. ArcLight's model is exactly what Helix needs to scale our next-gen products. If we bring you in as Chief Technology Officer, we can leverage your IP and fast-track production. Adrian will remain COO, but you'll have full technical authority. I blinked. You want to acquire ArcLight? Not acquire. Partner. Family partnership. We provide capital, infrastructure, distribution. You provide the brain. Everyone wins. It sounded good. It sounded too good. I need to talk to my co-founder, I said. Victor waved a hand. Of course. Take your time. But Mira, this is your chance to finally be part of something bigger than yourself. I left the building feeling like I'd swallowed glass. Kate's reaction was immediate. Absolutely not. We were sitting in our office, the late afternoon sun slanting through the windows. They're offering us infrastructure we can't afford, I said. Distribution channels that would take us 5 years to build. Kate, this could 10x our growth. Or it could erase us. Kate shot back. Mira, you've told me about your family. You think they're going to let you keep control? They'll gut ArcLight, rebrand it under Helix, and shove you into a corner office with no authority. My father said I'd have full technical control. Your father also let your acceptance letters get thrown away. The words hit like a slap. I looked away. I know, I said quietly. But what if this is different? What if he actually sees me now? Kate's expression softened. Mira, I love you like a sister. But you're not seeing clearly. Don't give them the chance to take this from you. I nodded. But 3 days later, I signed the partnership agreement anyway. The integration started in January 2022. ArcLight officially became a subsidiary of Helix Dynamics. Kate and I kept our titles. Co-founders, 50-50 split, but Helix held majority stake and board control. Victor assured me it was a formality. It wasn't. Within 2 weeks, Adrian started sitting in on engineering meetings. Just observing, he said with an easy smile. Learning from the best. He had no technical background. His degree was in business administration. He couldn't code, couldn't read schematics, couldn't explain the difference between machine learning and traditional algorithms. But he took notes. And then, slowly, things started changing. In March, I presented a new AI optimization model to the Helix board, something I'd been developing for 8 months. It could reduce chip fabrication errors by 60%, saving millions in production costs. I walked them through the data, the testing protocols, the projected ROI. The board loved it. 2 weeks later, Adrian presented the same model at an investor summit in New York. My name wasn't mentioned once. The press release called it Adrian Chen's breakthrough innovation. I confronted him in the hallway after the keynote. That was my work. He looked genuinely confused. Our work, Mira. We're a team now, remember? Helix is a family company. What's yours is ours. You didn't write a single line of code, but I positioned it for maximum impact. That's leadership. I wanted to punch him. Instead, I walked away and started keeping backups of everything. It became a pattern. I'd build. Adrian would present. I'd solve problems in all-night coding sessions. He'd take the credit in morning stand-ups. When journalists asked about Helix's sudden technological leaps, Adrian smiled for the cameras and called himself a visionary. Nobody asked about me. At company events, I was introduced as Victor's daughter, or part of the engineering team. Kate watched it happen in real time. "We need to leave," he said one night in April. "Before they take everything. We have a contract. Contracts can be broken. Not without losing everything we built." He looked at me for a long time. "Mira, we already did." In June 2022, I found the first transfer. I was reviewing quarterly financials, something I did obsessively now that Helix controlled the books, and noticed a $75,000 wire to an offshore account labeled consulting fees. I dug deeper. 3 more transfers. $50,000, $120,000, $90,000, all signed off by Adrian, all going to an entity called Vanguard Solutions, LLC. I ran the business registration. Vanguard Solutions was a shell company, registered in Delaware. Sole owner, Adrian Chun. He was funneling ArcLight's revenue, my revenue, into his own pocket. I printed every document, saved every screenshot, built a folder labeled Helix Audit, and I kept working like nothing was wrong. By December 2022, the total reached $470,000. He wasn't just stealing from the company. He was stealing from me. I told Cade the night I found the last transfer. We sat in his apartment, the city lights blinking through the window, and he didn't say "I told you so." He just asked, "What do you want to do?" I thought about the spelling bee trophy I'd left behind, the acceptance letters thrown away, the 29 years of being invisible in my own family. "I want to burn it down," I said. Cade nodded. "Then let's build the match." January 2023. Cade and I met in a windowless office in downtown Oakland with a forensic accountant named Simone Park. Simone had worked for the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit for 12 years before going private. She wore glasses with thick black frames and had the kind of calm intensity that made you feel safe and terrified at the same time. I slid the folder across the desk. $470,000 in fraudulent transfers over 18 months. Shell companies. Forged approvals. My co-founder's signature faked on multiple wire authorizations. Simone opened the folder. Read in silence for 11 minutes. Then she looked up. "This isn't just embezzlement. It's wire fraud, securities fraud, and tax evasion. If you file this with the SEC, your brother's looking at federal charges. How long to build a case? If you have clean records, 2 months. But you'll need cooperation from inside Helix. Someone who can testify to the approvals process." Cade leaned forward. "We have someone." Her name was Jordan Liu. She'd been Helix's senior financial analyst for 6 years, quiet and methodical, the kind of person who noticed when numbers didn't balance and stayed late to figure out why. She was also the person who'd flagged the first transfer back in August and been told by Adrian to stop worrying about minor discrepancies. She hadn't stopped worrying. She'd started keeping her own records. We met her at a coffee shop in Fremont on a gray Tuesday afternoon. She brought a laptop bag and the kind of exhausted expression that comes from carrying secrets too heavy to hold alone. "I knew something was wrong," Jordan said quietly, "but I didn't know how to prove it without losing my job." Kate slid a business card across the table. "Simone's contact info." "You won't lose your job," he said. "You'll be a whistleblower. Protected by federal law." Jordan stared at the card for a long time. Then she picked it up. "What do you need?" For the next 8 weeks, we built the case in secret. Jordan pulled internal emails, approval chains, transfer logs. Every document Adrian had signed, every fake vendor he'd created, every falsified invoice that had stolen money. Simone cross-referenced it with bank records, shell company filings, and tax returns Adrian hadn't filed correctly. I combed through every line of code, every design document, every patent filing, proving that the innovations Adrian claimed were mine from day one. Kate coordinated it all, scheduled meetings, encrypted communications, kept everyone calm when the paranoia crept in. We worked in Jordan's apartment most nights. She lived alone in a small one-bedroom with plants covering every surface, and a cat named Apollo who liked to sleep on the keyboard. Some nights we didn't talk, just worked in silence, the hum of laptops and the scratch of pens on paper filling the hours. By mid-March, we had 214 pages of evidence. Simone sat back in her chair and smiled for the first time since we'd met her. This is airtight. If you file this, the SEC will move fast. So will the IRS. How fast? I asked. Weeks, not months. Kate looked at me. Your call. I thought about the little girl standing in the hallway with a spelling bee trophy. I thought about the acceptance letters thrown away. I thought about 29 years of being told I wasn't enough. File it, I said. We submitted the complaint to the SEC on March 22, 2023. The whistleblower filing went to the IRS the same day. Both agencies confirmed receipt within 48 hours. Jordan's name was redacted under federal whistleblower protections. Mine wasn't. I wanted them to know exactly who was coming. Victor called me 3 days later. Mira, what the hell is this? The SEC is asking questions about Adrian's financials. They mentioned your name. I filed a complaint. Silence. You what? Adrian's been stealing from ArcLight since the day we integrated. Almost $500,000. Fake vendors. Shell companies. Forged approvals. I have the receipts, Dad. All of them. His voice went cold. You're making a serious accusation against your brother. I'm stating facts. Facts! Mira, this is family business. If you had concerns, you should have come to me privately. Like I came to you about MIT? About Stanford? About every time you chose him over me? Another silence. This is about jealousy, he said finally. You've always resented Adrian's success. His success! I laughed, sharp and bitter. Dad, I built that success. Every algorithm he's claimed, every innovation Helix has rolled out in the last 2 years, that was me. And he stole it. Just like he stole my money. I won't let you destroy this family. You already did that, I said. I'm just making sure everyone else sees it. I hung up, blocked the number, and waited. April 15th, 2023. The SEC froze Adrian's accounts. April 18th, IRS agents showed up at Helix headquarters with a warrant. By April 20th, the board called an emergency meeting. Adrian was suspended pending investigation. Victor tried to spin it as a misunderstanding. The press didn't buy it. TechCrunch ran the headline, Helix Dynamics heir accused of embezzlement by sister, co-founder. The article included my name, my photo, and a quote from Simone. The evidence is overwhelming. My phone exploded with messages. Reporters, old friends, people I hadn't spoken to in years. I ignored all of them. Except one. Kate, you good? Me getting there. Victor tried one last time. He showed up at my apartment in Oakland on April 28th, unannounced. I almost didn't open the door. But I did. He looked older than I remembered. Smaller somehow. The confidence I'd always associated with him had cracked around the edges. Mira, he said quietly. Can we talk? I stepped aside. Let him in. We stood in my tiny kitchen, the silence thick and uncomfortable. I didn't know, he said finally. About the money. About Adrian. I swear to you I didn't know. But you believed him when he said the work was his. Victor looked away. I wanted to believe him. He's my son. He's supposed to be the one who what? Matters. Who carries the company forward. And what am I? I asked, voice shaking. What have I ever been to you? He didn't answer. I nodded. That's what I thought. Mira, please. You're my daughter. I love you. No, I cut him off. You love the idea of me. The obedient one. The quiet one. The one who doesn't ask for too much. But the moment I wanted something, the moment I built something you couldn't control, you tried to take it. I was trying to bring you home. You were trying to erase me. He opened his mouth. Closed it. Then he turned and walked out. I locked the door behind him and didn't cry. The retirement gala was scheduled for May 12th, 2023. Victor's 40th anniversary with Helix Dynamics. A celebration of his legacy, his vision, his empire. The invitation arrived in my mailbox with a handwritten note from Diane. Please come. It would mean a lot to your father. I almost threw it away. But Kate had a better idea. Go, he said. And bring the folder. The gala was held at the Fairmont in San Francisco, the grand ballroom dripping with chandeliers and old money. I wore a black dress I'd bought that afternoon. Simple. Clean. The kind of thing that didn't draw attention until you wanted it to. Kate came with me, sharp in a tailored suit, carrying a slim leather messenger bag. We walked in at 7:45 p.m. The room was packed. Investors, board members, tech journalists, family friends I hadn't seen in years. Victor stood near the stage, shaking hands and smiling. Adrian stood beside him, confident as ever, like the last 3 weeks hadn't happened. Nobody had been formally charged yet. The investigations were ongoing. And in Victor's world, that meant Adrian was still innocent. Diane spotted me first. She crossed the room quickly, champagne flute in hand, smile tight. "Mira, you came. Wouldn't miss it." Her eyes flicked to Cade, suspicious. "And you brought a guest." "My co-founder," I said evenly. "You remember Cade?" She nodded once, then leaned in close. "Please don't make a scene tonight. Your father's worked too hard for this." I smiled. "I'll do my best." Dinner was served at 8:30. I barely touched my plate. Cade sat beside me, calm and still, the messenger bag resting at his feet. At 9:15, the lights dimmed. A spotlight hit the stage. Victor walked up to the microphone, and the room erupted in applause. He gave a speech about legacy, about building something from nothing, about family and perseverance in the future. He thanked Diane, thanked the board, thanked the investors. He thanked Adrian. "My son," Victor said, voice warm with pride. "The future of Helix Dynamics. A visionary in his own right." Adrian stood, waved, basked in the applause. Victor didn't mention me. Not once. At 9:47, Adrian took the microphone. "I want to say a few words about innovation," he began, smooth and practiced. "About what it takes to push an industry forward. To take risks. To lead." He clicked to the first slide, a diagram I'd drawn, an algorithm I'd written. My work, presented as his. Cade's hand found mine under the table. "Now," he whispered. I nodded. He stood, grabbed the messenger bag, and walked toward the stage. Heads turned. Whispers started. Adrian stopped mid-sentence. "Can I help you?" he asked, smile faltering. Cade didn't answer. He walked up the stairs, crossed the stage, and handed Adrian the manila folder. "You might want to read this," Cade said, voice carrying through the silent room. Adrian opened it. His face went white. I stood, walked to the stage, took the microphone. "For those of you who don't know me," I said, voice steady and clear, "my name is Mira Chen. I'm Victor Chen's daughter, and I'm the person who actually wrote the algorithm my brother just tried to take credit for." Gasps rippled through the room. Adrian tried to speak. I cut him off. "In the folder Kate just handed him, you'll find 214 pages of evidence showing that Adrian has been embezzling funds from ArcLight Systems since January 2022. $470,000 in total. Fake vendors, shell companies, forged approvals." The room exploded. Phones came out. Cameras flashed. Victor stood, face red. "Mira, stop this." "I won't," I said, voice rising. "Because for 29 years, I have been erased in this family. My achievements stolen. My voice silenced. My existence minimized. And tonight, in front of everyone who's ever celebrated Adrian's brilliance, I want you all to know the truth." I clicked to the next slide. Patent filings. My name. My signature. Every innovation Helix has launched in the last 2 years came from ArcLight. From me. And Adrian rebranded it, claimed it, and profited from it while funneling money into offshore accounts. Adrian's face crumbled. "Mira, please." "The SEC has the evidence," I continued. "So does the IRS. So do the journalists in this room. And by tomorrow morning, so will everyone else." I looked directly at Victor. "You wanted a legacy, Dad. Congratulations. You built one." The bottle dropped. Champagne and glass exploded across the marble. People scattered. Adrian lunged toward me. Kate stepped between us, calm and immovable. 2 security guards appeared, moving fast. "Sir, we're going to need you to come with us," one said to Adrian. "I didn't do anything." Federal agents are waiting outside, the guard said quietly. The room went silent. Adrian's eyes darted to Victor. Dad! Victor didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there, frozen, as his son was escorted out of the ballroom in front of 300 people. Diane started crying. I set the microphone down, grabbed Cade's hand, and walked off the stage. We left through the side exit. The cool night air hit my face, and for the first time in 29 years, I felt weightless. July 2023. Adrian was formally charged with wire fraud, embezzlement, and tax evasion. The trial's set for next spring. His legal team is scrambling, but Simone says the evidence is too strong. He's looking at 5 to 7 years minimum. Helix Dynamics stock dropped 18% in the week following the gala. 3 board members resigned. Victor stepped down as CEO in August. He hasn't called me since that night. Diane sent one email. You destroyed this family. I deleted it without responding. ArcLight officially separated from Helix in September. We bought back our shares, dissolved the partnership, and reincorporated as an independent company. Cade and I are back to 50/50ths. We move headquarters to Seattle. Clean start. New city. No ghosts. Revenue this quarter is projected at $15 million. We signed 3 new contracts last month, all with Fortune 500 companies who wanted to work with us, not the Chen name. Jordan joined as our CFO in October. Her first act was implementing a transparent financial system where every transaction is logged, reviewed, and verified. Nobody's stealing anything ever again. I kept one thing from the old house, the spelling bee trophy. It sits on my desk now, next to a photo of Cade and me at our new office launch party. People ask if I regret it. Burning down my family. Airing everything publicly. I don't. Regret would mean wishing I'd stayed small. And I'm done being small. Some nights I sit on my apartment balcony in Capitol Hill, watching the city lights blink against Puget Sound, and think about the little girl who waited in the hallway holding a trophy no one cared about. I wish I could tell her, one day, you'll stop waiting. One day, you'll stop hoping they'll see you. And on that day, you'll finally see yourself. That's when everything changes. Thanks for sticking with me through all of this. If this story hit home, drop a like. Share it with someone who needs to hear they're not the problem. Subscribe so you don't miss what we're building next. Because this is just the beginning.